What the heck? Whoever is to blame for that, dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, that was absolutely insane. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be rating every Disney After Dark event that I have personally been to. When I was starting to make this video, I was honestly surprised by how many After Dark events I have actually been to at this point. There are a couple that are not going to be on this list. Let's go ahead and dive right in. There is so much that I want to talk about, and honestly, each of these events could be its very own video, but let me try to sum them up for you as best as I can. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Kaz. I'm a cosplayer and professional princess, and also a content creator. So everything that you see on here will have to do with costumes, Disney, princesses, things in that realm. If you're interested in any of that, go ahead and click the subscribe button so you never miss a new video from me. Now, some people might not even know what Disneyland After Dark events are, so I want to start off with just an explanation of what these are and kind of how they came to be. So the first technical Disneyland After Dark event was Throwback Night, which took place in 2018. Now, I did not go to this event. Back then, these tickets for these events were so affordable, you guys. It is crazy. The event that was actually already happening that took place at night before that was Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, which was my actual first time going back to Disneyland as an adult, which I remember my ticket was, I believe, $95, which was a lot of money for a college student at the time. And I saved up and I bought that ticket, and it was so amazing because you could go into the park at night with so few other people there and go on all the rides that had no lines. Meanwhile, there are special character meet and greets. I was completely obsessed. And I believe the year that I went probably was around 2018 that I went to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. So I don't know what Throwback Night was like, but I know that the theme was sort of 1960s, more of that vintage style dressing. I do kind of vaguely remember this being a thing, but again, like I said, around that time, I was broke, so I did not go to a special Disneyland After Hours event. And that seemed very similar to me to Dapper Day, which is an event that takes place twice a year, both at Disneyland and then also Disney World. And that's run by like the Dapper Day Expo, and people come to the parks fully dressed up in their dapper best, and it's so much fun. Also, like, the rules for what you are and aren't allowed to wear are definitely stretched thin on a Dapper Day. Wigs are definitely more accepted, which I always like. The idea of Disneyland After Dark events was supposed to be that it was a more affordable way for like adults to have a date night. It's funny because, like I said, the prices now are so far from what it originally was and maybe what this original idea was. I also just think in the last, couple years, let's say 5 to 8 years, Disney has just become even more popular, and I think that has to do with social media and Disney Instagram. Something that used to be a little bit more niche and not that everyone was going to, because maybe they even didn't know about it, is now very much well known thanks to social media, which has its pluses and minuses. I mean, I like to go to After Dark events because I get to go to Disney in full costume and I get to make outfits themed to those events. Usually when I post those outfits, they perform well because people are interested in those events. So positives there, but also it is unfortunate because it's just not the same as it used to be. Let's go back. Let's start at the very beginning, and I'm going to talk about Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, which has now turned into Oogie Boogie Bash at California Adventure. When it was Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, this took place at Disneyland, and like I said, almost every single ride was open. My first time going, and unfortunately my only time going, because the very next year they actually stopped it and turned it into Oogie Boogie Bash. We love you, but my gosh, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party was an absolute slay, y'all. And there's a lot of things I can't remember, but I remember meeting Ariel and Mulan and taking photos with them and having absolutely no line. I don't remember there being as many villains as Oogie Boogie Bash has now. And it was definitely more of kind of like a happy Halloween. And I think Oogie Boogie is a little bit more on the spooky side, which I do like. This ticket was $95, which you really cannot beat. And also the positive of a lot of these events, and it really depends on the event and what time that they start. For Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, Oogie Boogie Bash, you could get in the parks by 3 p.m. If you think about the amount of time you normally spend in a day in line at Disneyland, you can get into these parks by midday, hit some rides, change into your outfits for the event, and then once everybody is mostly gone, you can hit so many rides. Back before I was a pass holder, my favorite thing to do was to go to these after dark events because I felt like I was getting bang for my buck. The price has continually increased and increased for all these events, which we're going to talk about the prices and all that. Back in the day, it really was the best deal, I personally think, for someone who does not often go to the parks. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, from what I remember, one of the best nights of my entire life. Granted, I was also my first time back at Disneyland as an adult, and I was dressed as Ariel. I'm giving this a 5 out of 5. Now to hop right along to Oogie Boogie Bash. So this is the replacement for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and this is probably my favorite event of the entire year. It's something that they really have down to a science that, as I'll go through the other events, you'll see not all of them really thought out very well. So I really, really recommend, if you've never been to an After Dark event before, you should go to Oogie Boogie Bash, because there are so many bonuses to attending this event. For starters, you can get in early, like most events. I believe it's still 3 p.m. We don't usually get there till 5 because we're still getting ready in our outfits. And though this is true with many of the events, there are themed food, themed drinks that you can get that are only specific to that event. There are always new characters and rare characters. So this has become a big pull just of events in general. But what I love about Oogie Boogie is they always give us 2 brand new characters. Like the last 5 years, they've been giving us like 1 to 2 brand new characters every year. And that, I think, is so awesome because they're also reaching into like some of the most iconic villains that we just never get to see. But Oogie Boogie Bash, what's so great is that the ones that everyone's the most excited for are walkthroughs with trick-or-treat trails. Not only is the line keep moving, you can take as little or as much time as you want, you know, getting to see the character, you can take a photo in front of them. Most of the time they'll interact with you. And you also get to get candy along the way. Already this event's better because you're getting candy. I'd like to think of it as free candy, though obviously you paid to get in here, so it did cost you something, right? But I always get so much candy from Oogie Boogie Bash that I actually am able to give some of that candy out on Halloween. I don't have to buy as much candy. That's how much candy you can get, these trick-or-treat trails. They're giving handfuls, I'm telling you, especially by the end of the night. If you get in line at the end of the night, perfect. And that really makes this event stand out from others. There are other events that have started to incorporate this much more, and I think that is the right choice because, again, unfortunately, it's like you don't have time for everybody to stand in line to take a photo with Hades. If they did that, only the first 200 people who were there the entirety of the night would be able to get that photo with Hades. So I just really think they know what they're doing with Oogie Boogie Bash, and that's why that's the one I always recommend. Now, what's also really fun is that everyone is in costume. I love being in costume. I love seeing other people in costume. It's Halloween. I mean, it's just so fun. There are some events that other people do not dress up for, and I find at the events where I'm super dressed up and most people are not dressed up, I feel really uncomfortable because there are rules about what you can and can't do in the parks when you're dressed up in costume, even at these after dark events. Like if someone were to come up to me and ask to take a picture with me and I don't know them, I'm supposed to say no, because it could look like I'm impersonating a character at the parks, which is the last thing that I'd want to do. The only time I really have had a problem with this was Sweethearts Night, although there have been some other instances, and it's mostly just adults not understanding the word no. I could get kicked out if you take a picture with me like this. People are allowed to take pictures of you, so I usually say yes unless we're currently doing something. I have taken pictures with people who follow me, but after we have a conversation and I understand that, it can put you in a weird position. I know it's partially my own fault because maybe my costume just looked too good. I'm just here to have a good time, put on my costume, and go to the parks, right? And then the last thing I'll say about Oogie Boogie Bash is they have such a fun Halloween parade. You get the Headless Horseman, you get every single Disney villain, you get really cool floats, and you only get to see this parade if you do go to Oogie Boogie Bash. I really think if you're wanting to do something spooky at Disney for Halloween, you should buy a ticket to Oogie Boogie Bash. I do not think you'll be disappointed. I just want you to make sure that you look at the list of where all the characters are that you want to see and the things that you want to do, and you make a designated plan for how you're going to hit those things, which parade you're going to go to. There's always less people at the second parade, okay? By the end of the night, things do start to clear out a lot more as well. Be prepared, have your plan. I'm sure you'll have a great time. Oogie Boogie Bash, 5 out of 5 stars. Honestly, 5.5 out of 5 stars. I love Oogie Boogie Bash so much. That's the event that I go to every year, no matter what. All right, now it's time to talk about a night that I hated. I'm gonna save the one that I really hated till the very end of this. Unfortunately, The event I'm talking about is Disneyland After Dark Sweethearts Night. This night has been happening for a very long time. I was always thinking, oh, do I want to go? Do I want to go? But I never wanted to buy 2 tickets for me and Ryan. But eventually, me, my friends Amber and Lauren decided to dress up as Cinderella and the Evil Stepsisters because we knew that Cinderella and Prince Charming were hosting the ball. Now, if you don't know what that means, let me explain. Sweethearts Night, there is always a royal ball. And each year, the royal ball is hosted by different characters. And if it's hosted by those characters, they have like a little spiel that they do. And then there's dancing where like all the characters come out and dance. And it used to be, and I guess they changed it in 2024, but it used to be that you could dance with, which I think this is weird and I wouldn't do this, but people like it, that you could dance with the characters. Again, I would be very uncomfortable doing this, but to each their own. I think the idea of it being immersive, like you are at the ball and there are characters around you, love it. That is a 10 out of 10 idea. The year that we went, all the characters were up on a stage, and then when there was supposed to be dancing, all the characters were just like dancing and up there, so you couldn't really like interact with them in the way that you once did, I guess. Because there's always characters hosting the ball, and there's the villain that interrupts the ball, and there's other side characters. So like I was really excited. There was going to be the fairy godmother, and also I always forget his name, but the guy with the shoe on the pillow. I'm gonna insert him right here. Characters like that would just be super fun to take pictures with that are not normally out. Yeah, we just thought it was gonna be awesome. Cut to about, I want to say 15 minutes into the event, it starts pouring rain. Mind you, this is the second Sweethearts Night of the entire year. Oh my lord. They apparently had a plan for rain, but they had not put it in place yet. So in lieu of their plan where like characters would go to indoor locations so you could, at least take pictures with characters, they all just went away. They were not out. There was no one to meet. There was no ball. Also, there was nobody dressed up at this event, which was so confusing to me. And maybe it's just because I see people on social media who I follow who are cosplayers and go to Sweethearts Night all the time, fully dressed up, decked out as characters, and look like they're, having a great time. There's plenty of people here in costume. Yeah, I don't know if it was just the night that we went or like no one's ever dressed up. Nobody was dressed up. And then there was just us completely dressed up. Again, remember the rule. We're not allowed to take pictures with people. That is literally against the rules. And my friend Lauren, bless her heart, works at Disney in entertainment and was having this was the worst time ever because people were being so rude to us when we said no thank you to them taking pictures with us. Or Lauren wasn't even comfortable with people taking pictures of her. And people were just being, I've never seen adults act so aggressively. Like some dads like said the F word to us. Like people were trying to sneakily film us and take pictures of us like in the background. It was bizarre. And I've had some weird experiences before. Funnily enough, whenever Amber and I do the Stepsisters, this is what happens. I don't know. I guess we look very accurate. Yes, we can help it. But, I just, there's no problem in asking to take a picture, but if someone says no, then you should respect that they said no and not try to sneakily take pictures of them or yell obscenities at them, because that's crazy. That's crazy. And granted, this event was mostly fully grown-ass adults. It was not the youths that were being rude to us. It was 40-year-old men. I'm like, bro, we're all here at Disneyland, okay? It was just very upsetting, and also pouring rain. At one point, we did not have our umbrellas when it first started pouring rain and the ball was canceled. So we ran to the bathroom. I said, I'm gonna be the one. I'm gonna be the one to run to the lockers and get the umbrellas.
Kaz is off to get the other umbrellas for us. Good luck.
It's gotta be done, soldiers.
Godspeed. Godspeed.
No.
Come back safe. I'll be thinking of you.
And I ran through the park, fast walked through the park, all the way back to lockers from, I think we were like over by Small World. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna drink then if we're not gonna see any characters and it's pouring rain. But there were no reservations at any of the places where you can get alcohol. We couldn't even drink, have like the themed champagne and stuff. And we really tried to stick it out. We really tried to stick it out to the end of the night because there were a couple different royal balls that were gonna happen. And we have a friend who works in entertainment as a character, and she was filling us in on whether or not they thought they were gonna go out. But unfortunately, it just was, mind you, this is in February, so it's freezing. This event is from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., which I really hate them doing these super, super late night events, which I started moving things later and later because trying to make as much money as possible during the day. Because it's freezing cold. We're in princess dresses, pouring rain, and it got to be, I think the last royal ball was supposed to be like 12:15, and before that, we were just having such not a good time that we left. And of course, they ended up coming out for the last one. They're like, "Where are you?" And it's like, we were gone. Amber ended up complaining to Disney customer service about what a terrible time we had, because we did, and they had no plan in place. All the reasons for us going to that event were to meet those like specific characters in the ball, and we weren't able to do any of that, because also characters in other parts of the park that were supposed to be out were not out, and we're not inside somewhere else. Like, it was truly a disaster. We did some photo ops. We made a video that got over 1 million views at least, thank God, because otherwise but we could have been in a park. You know what I mean? I didn't need to spend $140 for that. So not my personal ideal, but what can you do? So, as that is my only experience of Sweethearts Night, I'm sure the people who really like it, I'm sure it might be better if you go as a couple. Though my friend Lauren actually did go again because she had bought tickets for her and her fiance to go. I think maybe even the week after we went, and her review was, it was fine, but it was certainly not worth the money, she felt. And I honestly felt like so much of that event was also just photo ops that were like cheap, cutouts of scenes from movies. I don't know. I would not recommend this. Maybe if you really want to go with your significant other and have the theme of love go off. It seems to me like this event used to be better, and now with the changes they've made since COVID, it just is not as cool. Because it would be really cool to attend a royal ball and everyone's dancing, and their characters all around you, and dramatic things happen, and there's a story playing out. Incredible. But that is not what we experienced and not what happened. So I want to give it a 0, but I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5 because maybe I would have liked it more if it didn't rain. I definitely would have liked it more, but I'm really mad that they did not adjust the event for us because of the rain. So, which apparently they did the very next week. 1 out of 5. Do not recommend. The next event we're going to talk about is probably one of the most iconic and well-known events that Disneyland After Dark puts on, and that is Star Wars Night. I have been to, I think, 4 Star Wars nights now at this point. It is also one that I usually will hit every year. I almost didn't buy a ticket last year because I think it was like $165, which is wrong, and I disagree with. In the end, my FOMO got the best of me, and I did end up buying a ticket. And I think I bought like the cheapest possible one, which is, again, horrifying. Now, things that I really like about Star Wars Night, again, because they have been doing this for a while, I think that they really have it down to more of a science. It's really the new events that we've never seen before that I think it's a toss-up of whether or not it's going to be good. There's also multiple nights of Star Wars Night. Oogie Boogie Bash, Star Wars Night, Sweethearts Night. A lot of these events actually have multiple weeks in which it's happening because they are so popular of an event. Other events only have 2 nights, which I think leads to a lot of the feeling of it's overcrowded and they oversold it. There is absolutely a benefit to there being more nights. I think it is still, again, very popular, so it's going to be full. They employ the same ideas as Oogie Boogie Bash. The characters that people are most excited to see have walk-through lines. Unfortunately, there is no candy for Star Wars Night. Maybe they should get on that. But Luke and Leia, R2-D2. The first year that I went, when you could meet Padme, that was a photo op, and that line was so long, we got in that line and they gave us wristbands to come back. And we got in that line right basically when the event officially started. Some of these lines you can actually get into before the event even starts, which is a whole other thing. But we were lucky enough to make the cut because there were people who just simply weren't able to see certain characters that year because they didn't know to get in that line so early and get a wristband. I like the idea of the wristband because you could come back, you could leave and come back when it was your time. But if you didn't know that those wristbands were going to happen, how would you know to get in that line? It kind of seems unfair to me for some guests. They have actually since done away with that for the Padme. Now it's, again, a walkthrough, and Anakin has shown up there too a couple times. That was very exciting 2 years ago when I first went, because I think that was the first time they had Anakin with Padme, and that was a hot topic. I don't know that there are always new characters for Star Wars Night. I feel like there's usually at least one new character, and there's a good variety of characters as well. The characters that people are like obsessed with that absolutely are going to have giant lines, they do as walkthroughs. The smaller characters, photo ops, that sort of thing, you're going to have a Disney photographer. And the good thing about these After Dark events is actually with your wristband, you get all the photos that are taken by the Disney photographers, which I think is like the least that they can do. It's actually really easy. You just have them scan your wristband, and then you can scan your wristband into your app, and you have all your photos from the night. Also, something to think about is that it is dark most of the time because these are happening so late in the evening. I believe Star Wars Night is another one that starts at 9 p.m., which, oh my God, being at Disneyland till 1 a.m. is, good Lord. Great thing about Star Wars Night is we got themed food again. The only thing is you have got to put your orders in for certain things earlier on rather than later because the lines can get really long, and they also will stop selling things if it runs out. There are Baby Yoda beignets that sell out like every year, so you definitely want to put your order in for that as far in advance as you can, and then you can just come pick it up whenever it is your order time. So again, with a lot of these events, you really have got to like plan out exactly what you're doing because otherwise you can get kind of caught in the chaos of there's so many people here and there's only so many things I can do in this period of time. Star Wars Night does usually have a DJ on Main Street, which is awesome. Star Wars DJs, excellent. The Star Wars DJ gets a 10 out of 10 in my book. And this is also an event where everybody is dressed up. It's really fun. People bring the lightsabers. There's a lightsabers meetup. There's a big moment with Rey and where everyone lights their lightsabers, save the day that you can go to. I've never had anyone harass me at Star Wars Night. I've always just had the best time. People talking about, telling me they like my costumes. You know, I feel like the vibes of the Star Wars nerds that are out there are great. Star Wars Night is a really fun event. Definitely overpriced. I don't know that I would go every year. If I wasn't a content creator, I might go every 2 years. I do really like everything that they do, and I think they fixed some of their problems. Price, bad. Event, good. I'm gonna give it a solid 4 out of 5 stars. I have always enjoyed myself there. I do just wish it was earlier in the night, but so I wish with most of the Disneyland After Dark events. Okay, I swear we are getting to the end of this video. We've got 3 more to go. The next night I'm going to talk about, I don't know if it'll be happening again, but I fully enjoyed it this year, was Disney Channel Night. Oh my gosh. I was so excited for this immediately. I knew I was going to buy tickets to this. I feel like my ticket was like $140, $145, and when we talk about vibes of a night, the vibes there were immaculate because everybody who came to that event were of the same generation. You know, we're talking Hannah Montana. We're talking Wizards of Waverly Place, Phineas and Ferb. Like, this was the heyday of Disney Channel, and that is what they were celebrating. The photo ops were really, really fun. I think that, like, a lot of this just has to do also with, you know, nostalgia, right? But another event where everybody was dressed up. Everybody was dressed up, and the only true criticism I have is that there was supposed to be a Descendants dance party on a pirate ship, which is why we did Descendants costumes, because we knew we were going to be able to dance to Descendants music on a pirate ship, and then unfortunately that got canceled. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. There's no information on that, but it was listed as one of the things that was going to be available during the event. And then that never happened. There was like a Descendants dance party kind of performance in like right above Pirates. They did not do it on the pirate ship, which would have been so much cooler. So that was disappointing. What's crazy is like literally don't even remember what characters we met. They had classics, like they had Kim Possible and Ron, which we actually are usually at Oogie Boogie Bash. They had some like Disney afternoon cartoons characters. I wish that they had like someone to be Hannah Montana or like Lizzie McGuire, but they don't usually do that with like characters that are played by real people, so they probably would have had to pay like Miley Cyrus something to use her likeness, so that didn't happen. It was more of photo ops, I think, centric, and the castle was lit up really cool. There was a really fun parade. There was the DJ playing, you know, all the greatest hits. I really feel like this event was super fun because it was so niche down. It was definitely a little bit crowded. So like some of the lines, the photo ops, but certain parts of the night, it just wasn't worth it. I personally had a really great time and I really enjoyed dressing up for this night. There was also like a karaoke happening in the saloon in Frontierland, and I just didn't know about it until too late, and I was like kicking myself because I wish I would have gone to the freaking karaoke. That would have been so fun, and it seemed like people were having a great time in there. So there can be more to be expanded on doing another Disney Channel night, and also they should do karaoke at more nights. What the heck? I want to do karaoke inside the Disneyland Frontierland Saloon. Are you kidding me? I really enjoyed it. I think the nostalgia definitely helped bump it up in my eyes, but I do think it was still oversold because it was only 2 nights, right? So I believe we went again on Tuesday. That's usually when I'm available. For the price and how busy it was, I'm gonna give it, even though I really enjoyed myself, I think generally it's gonna be a 3.5 out of 5, which is kind of surprising to me because I really did have such a good time. But I think that there need to be more characters really that represented more of our like iconic Disney Channel TV shows. I think that's probably my biggest read, and I'm really annoyed about the Descendants pirate ship dance party not happening, because when they do really cool things like that, they really add to these experiences and make them more unique and interesting. It's something that I want to go back to, not just as an excuse to make a new cosplay. Next night that I'm talking about is Pride Night. This was also my first year going to Pride Night. It's in its 2nd year. I almost went the year before, but then everybody spent money on other After Dark events, and I did not want to buy a ticket, so I didn't. But this year, I did suck it up and do it because Amber said it was just the most fun ever. And we actually went as all of the Disney fairies because at this event, all the Disney fairies come out, which they never all come out anymore. So this was super awesome and iconic. I feel like, again, Pride Night, the vibes were immaculate. The thing that I heard is that actually from people who I know who work at the parks, that most of the people who are working on that night specifically asked to work that night. So everyone, both cast members and the people there are really happy to be there. And you can just feel that, The parade is great. Like, oh my gosh, the characters breaking it down in the parade is amazing. I'm sure you've seen clips on TikTok of Clarabelle the cow really just serving it, the house down. People were definitely not really dressed up for this event at all. Everyone was more like just wearing their Disney Pride merch and things that were rainbow and just cute. Like everyone looked really cute, but people weren't really in full cosplay, so that was kind of just us. But people were super nice and respectful. They were not, I guess it's just the 40-year-old men that have been the most disrespectful. We had a great time. There's a lot of fun character meet and greets that happen. There's all the usual, special drinks, special food. There is a fireworks that's like really cute, a fireworks show. Love that. I forgot to mention that Star Wars night also has fireworks, but sometimes fireworks get canceled and then you just get the light show, which is not as good, but fireworks is really good. I mean, we really had a great time. We got to like walk the runway with all the fairies, and all of us like got a moment to walk with our fairy. It was really just a sleigh. I have nothing wrong to say about this night. There were times I was like getting emotional because it's just so wonderful that like it's really nice for them to actually acknowledge Pride and all of their fans who are, a part of the community. So I think it's a really positive vibes kind of night, and I would definitely go back, especially with all my friends. I had a really fun time. I'm gonna give Pride Night it a 4.5 out of 5. I'm surprised I ranked that higher than Disney Channel night. This is another one that's gonna be a classic that will hopefully get many more years. Also, I'm just really obsessed with the cosplay that we did. It's time for our very last event, the one we've all been waiting for. My least favorite event that I have ever been to that was absolute trash. You're probably wondering, Kaz, how can something be worse than your experience at Sweethearts Night where you saw no characters? Well, I'll tell you. The year was 2024. No, the year was 2023? The year was 2023. It was cold because it was still one of the early Disneyland After Dark events of the year. And there we were. The night that promised to be one of the greatest After Dark events of all time. It was Disneyland After Dark presents Princess Night. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. This event was supposed to be Princess Night, where all the Disney princesses, the ones that we usually get to see, also special Disney princesses, like Giselle was gonna be there coming down Main Street in her carriage. There was gonna be a princess tea time. There was gonna be cute themed drinks and food. It was gonna be fantastic. Photo ops featuring Princess Diaries. Like, come on, this sounds incredible. But what it was absolute trash. They oversold it. They oversold it in a way that I've never seen another event oversold in my entire life. And every single meet and greet was a photo op. There were no places where people were just walking through big characters. We waited an hour and a half to meet Merida, and at the very end of the night, we met Ada from Bug's Life. But we couldn't meet any other princess because the lines were so egregiously long that people literally could not meet the normal characters that they would meet just being able to walk in the park on a normal day. And it's not like the park was empty. It was full. So you're not even getting, an empty park to like, I think we ended up going on some rides because we were not able to do anything. The princess tea time you had to book in advance, but we didn't know that. The Giselle was beautiful. She came down Main Street and they played her song and I lived for it. I absolutely lived for it.
One more time.
But that was the only good thing about this event. And what was so sad, what literally broke my heart is like, I'm an adult. I really just want to come here and wear my Princess Anastasia costume and be with my friends all dressed as princesses. I'll be okay. If it's trash, okay. But there were so many little kids there. Little kids who were crying because they couldn't meet any princesses because the lines are so long because the event was oversold. And this is the first night. And there were only 2 nights of this event. And it was so oversold on the night that we were there that children were crying because they could not meet any characters or do anything. What the heck? Whoever is to blame for that, dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, that was absolutely insane. That was absolutely insane. I gave a full rant on my Instagram story after that. And they even closed the lines early. Like for some characters, 40 minutes before the event was even over. We couldn't even go and like get in line when they were shorter. Normally they keep the lines open until pretty close to the end, but they were not even doing that. So the whole thing was just a complete disaster. I'm still mad about it. I was so cold. It was freezing. I had to stop and get gas on my way home and tear myself out of my Anastasia gold dress. And I just was like, this is terrible. And people have a responsibility to know that it's terrible. Here I am saying it again. Princess Night, worst night of all time. How dare you, Disney, steal people's money? And I think it was like $150 for this ticket. Again, the prices do really range on these events, and the ones that are more popular are always more expensive. So, Star Wars night, I'm looking at you. Oogie Boogie, if you buy a ticket way earlier in the season, it's cheaper, which we did this year, and I believe my ticket was $135. Which, again, still more expensive than it should be. And that's the cheapest ticket. You can't get a ticket under $100 for any of these events anymore. And I think $135 is the cheapest price that you will find. So those are all my rankings. Let's see them here. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. I still have to rate, as if you couldn't imagine what my rating for Princess Night was. -5 out of 5. -10 out of 5. 2 thumbs down. Unhappy face. Children crying because they couldn't meet princesses, and the event's called Princess Night. Okay? Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. But those are all the events I've been to. I technically also went to this event called Villains Night, but I don't think they're ever bringing it back. It was basically Oogie Boogie, but slightly smaller. It was great. Loved it. I just remembered that this existed. But let me know down below if you've been to any of these nights and what your opinions were of them. Do you think it's a ripoff? Do you think it's worth the money? Would you like to go if you don't normally have a pass? Would you still go even if you do have a pass? I'm very interested to know. I don't know that I would go to most of these if I didn't do what I do, to be perfectly honest. My personal recommendation is Oogie Boogie Bash is always fun. It's a great choice for Halloween. You can still buy the cheaper tickets if you go earlier in the season. I wish that the events were still way more affordable, and I wish that they would not oversell them because that makes it really hard for them to be as good as they once were. Just have more events. But of course they're not going to do that because what's it about? Money. Deep sigh. And yet I still keep giving my money to that little mouse. That CEO of Disney, Mickey Mouse. Well, that is all for this video, gang. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that maybe this will give you a little bit of perspective if you're ever wondering what is up with those Disneyland After Dark events. Now you know, for better or for worse. But I will see you in my next video. Until then, bye-bye! Supposed to be a 90s themed After Dark event that is happening that my friends bought tickets to, but I didn't buy tickets because I'm trying to stop giving so much money to the mouse. But you let me know if you think I should go to the 90s themed event, and if I do, what should I wear?